Every day at Bakersfield College, our students are moving toward their goals. Why aren't you with them? Is it cost? Family obligation? Maybe you don't feel prepared for college life. The good news is we're prepared to help you. You have yet to realize how much help and support is waiting for you at Bakersfield College. Learn more now on Equity TV. Here's your host, Christine Din.
Hi, I'm Christine Din. Thank you for tuning in to Equity TV with Bakersfield College, where we address the hurdles to higher education, break those barriers, and inspire you with success stories. Today, we're going to be talking to professionals about the economic, social, and cultural challenges that our local veterans face when considering college. Joining us first is the Associate Dean of Student Success at BC, Paul Beckworth. Hi, Paul. Paul, nice to meet you. How are you?
Good. How are you? Nice to meet you, Christine.
Good. Thank you. So tell us a little bit about how you grew up in poverty and how that led to your dreams of college and ending up in the military.
Well, I grew up with 6 brothers and sisters and my parents, and we grew up really working class. My mom stayed home to raise all of us, and my dad worked, and at times just really going from job to job, and sometimes we'd unfortunately end up on welfare. And I realized at an early age that in order to break that cycle, I needed to get to college.
Wow. So what made you realize that at such a, you said early age. What age?
Probably between 6th and 7th grade. So I was probably 12 years old. I wanted to keep playing baseball. We didn't have the money for the good gloves now. We didn't have money for the nice bats or the nice uniforms that at that age you have to start paying money into. And I realized that I better stop this because I know we can't afford it. And I realized I don't want to have to be like this later on.
But at that age, the first thought isn't, oh, I want to join the military. So who put that in your mind?
Actually, I was 4 years old and I watched a military documentary and I was hooked. That was where my love of history started, my love of all things military, and it was at a very early age I knew I was going to go in.
So tell us about your service in the military. What did you do? Where were you stationed?
Okay. Well, right out of high school, I went into the Navy. I was actually 17. My parents had to sign for me, and I remember the recruiter coming over, my parents signing, and they were sad, but they were supportive. And I joined the Navy to actually go on submarines. But during the process of submarine school, they said, well, you have asthma. You can't go on a submarine. What else do you want to do? So I'll be a corpsman. So I became a corpsman, which is basically a medic. And I ended up getting stationed with the Marines as a result.
Oh, so what did you realize after a few years in the military?
What I realized was I really enjoyed it. The first year's the hardest. You're homesick. You're getting stretched. And after a year or two, I really found my niche, really found my groove. I enjoyed my job of taking care of my Marines and being stationed at Camp Pendleton. Went to the first Gulf War, and then later on went to Somalia as a part of Operation Restore Hope. And I really enjoyed it. I almost actually re-enlisted, but I felt it was time to get out.
So you felt it was time to get out and do what with your life?
Well, for 2 years, I twiddled my thumbs and did a whole lot of nothing, just kind of worked here and there, and then basically realized, and it was right around when I was 25, Paul, you've got to get moving, and had some soul searching to do, and realized, okay, it's time to get to college, and I knew I was going to be a history professor. I walked in to college on the first day of school, and I told myself out loud, I am not going to stop till I get my master's, and I didn't.
Wow. So how long did it take you to get your master's?
7 years.
Well, I'm sure it was worth it.
Absolutely. Loved every minute of it.
So then you became a professor at BC. What drew you to want to serve veterans while you were teaching?
Well, being a veteran myself and seeing these young veterans come home before the Iraq War and Afghanistan, we thought of veterans as the Vietnam population. We didn't think about the 23-year-olds and the 24-year-olds that look like any other college students. And I realized that they are not getting the help they needed. They needed more than how to get their GI Bill. Where do they sit in class? What do they do when a student slams a book down? What happens when they need to leave class because of PTSD, or they can't do well in math because of traumatic brain injury? And I realized we need to help them, and I felt I needed to jump in there and do that.
Wow, you don't think about that. I mean, as a college student myself, I never thought maybe the student next to me could be a veteran, and that's what's going on in their mind. Was that something that happened in your classes that made you think of that? Did an instance like that happen?
Actually, at a different college I taught at, I had a student of mine. We actually lived in the same apartment complex, and he missed class one day, and he came in, and he said, "Can I talk to you?" I said, "Sure. You weren't in class today." "Well, I'm sorry I wasn't in class, but I was having a flashback. I was dreaming." And he said, "I woke up and I was choking my wife."
Oh my gosh.
And it was very unsettling for him. And that was my moment. What are we doing for these guys? As a professor, I'm thinking, oh, don't forget to follow MLA format when you write your papers. Don't forget to do this and do that.
Yeah.
And he's thinking, that's not that important right now. I had this really bad flashback, and I realized they need help.
So what did you do? What did you do about it?
I started Veterans Club at COS in Visalia, and then when I got here, they had already had one. They had just started one. Some really good young students, veteran students that started one here, and they got the ball rolling, and they have gotten now the Veterans Lounge at BC because they saw the need as I did, and I was able to jump in when they graduated, and we really ran with what they started.
Oh, well, that's amazing. Out of curiosity, what would you say the percentage of veterans are students at BC that you've seen?
That actually see,
or that you know of, like roughly?
We have anywhere between 325 to 450 students, veteran students that we know of, and we think there's several hundred more that don't self-identify as veterans. So I think a conservative estimate would be 700 veterans that are at BC.
Wow, they don't self-identify, so they're probably missing out on a lot of services that are available to them.
They really are, and sometimes they don't want to self-identify. They get out and they just want to break that mold. You let your hair grow back out.
Yep.
You just kind of rebel against 4 years of structured life, and you don't want to jump in there. And at some point, I think there's that sense of coming back to where, okay, I do need these services that are offered, like the GI Bill and so on.
All on their own time. Well, which they all
good
deserve. They deserve that. So what are the problems many veterans face when leaving the military? I mean, the first thing I could think of is unemployment. What are some other issues?
Besides unemployment, it's really a matter of you lose that identification, that awareness of who you are. When you're in, you're a sergeant. You're a corporal, you have a job, you have an identity, and you get out, you're just Joe Schmo out on the street. You lose that camaraderie. You don't even realize you have it until you get out and you realize this is gone, and it's really hard to connect with others in the community, and certainly at college where you have a lot of very young students that you just cannot relate to.
Wow. What other problems? I mean, are we thinking drug abuse, suicide?
Unfortunately, all of that.
All of it?
They self-medicate, whether it's through alcohol, whether it's through drugs. Sometimes there's anger issues. You have up to a number of veterans that commit suicide every day, up to 22 veterans. Not just now, but like from Vietnam and so on and so forth. And it's imperative that we catch them before it really gets to that point. And there's a lot of great services in the community and at BC to help with that.
Speaking of which, so what alternative does BC offer to all those problems?
We have, like I mentioned, we have the Veterans Lounge. It's just a place to hang out. You just come, you relax, you deflate, if you will. It's a place where you can really return to center, and it's almost a safe place to where you're around other veterans. We have our own language. We have our own acronyms. We have our own way of saying things to where everybody can relate. Oh, I was here. Oh, so was I. I was this MOS. Oh, so was I. Let's be friends.
Yeah.
And that is really, really important. We also have our health center on campus. We also have a mental health professional that works at BC as well. And so by doing this, we're able to really, hopefully, be proactive.
So if you could list off on your fingertips all the different services for veterans so that, if they're watching or listening, they could remember or write down, what would those be?
At BC, we have the Veterans Lounge. We have a Veterans Educational Advisor. She sees only veterans. We have who I call the GI Bill lady. She takes care of all the post 9/11 Montgomery GI Bill, everything.
Okay.
As a part of my job, I'm over the student success, and that also includes veteran services. We have the mental health professional, and that's just what's at BC. That's not counting later on what's out in the community, which there'll be more talk about today.
Oh, okay. So what services do you think veterans need to attend college but are generally not given the opportunity or are given access to?
They don't know what they don't know.
Okay.
A lot of it is simply getting started, and if they come to BC and they come to the Veterans Lounge, they sit down with the educational advisor. She will put them in the right direction as far as their GI Bill, as far as their classes, as far as their books. Other programs that can be helpful as well would be extraordinarily helpful to them.
Okay. Well, is there anything else that you want to say out there to our veterans that may be watching and considering BC?
It's very inexpensive. We were just approved for a bachelor's program, so we're real excited about that. It's a very good school. It's very inexpensive, especially so many veterans have been out of school for so many years. This is a good place to start before jumping into a CSU or a UC. Get their feet wet again. Get back to algebra and doing homework again.
Well, you forget that stuff. I know I do. And I didn't go to war. I wasn't enlisted. So, yeah, definitely you need your feet wet.
Yeah, so I think by doing this, it gives them the opportunity to get back into the groove of things, and then they're ready to jump on to their next stage of education.
All right, well, thank you so much, Paul. Well, we're going to take a short break, but when we return, we're going to talk about how veterans are unknowingly missing out on benefits and employment opportunities. We'll be right back.